I will have to do is number one, do not do TYS for the sake of it. Parents actually come to me and they say that, you know what, I need to get a kid to do TYS, but TYS is not exactly the best situation before the prelims. Yeah, you can do the TYS maybe nearer to the exams, like the O levels, but not right before the prelims, not right before the media. Other than that, also memorizing school notes is a definite no-no. I mean, when it comes to physics and chemistry, it is not just memory. It's not about defining moment or defining work done. You need to know how to apply your concepts, and that's where it's very important to actually get your child to have targeted practice. And that's what we do in at Ministry of Science. We actually have a database of questions to help your child to be able to answer questions that will be tested, and that's what we want. We don't want them to do questions that will not be tested and they're wasting their time. The reason why I actually enjoy making those videos, number one, is that it helps me to get the students to see that physics is all around us. I think a lot of students have that problem because the word physics itself sounds very complex. So what I do is, by using these videos, I actually help them to relate to how anything around them can be used to learn physics, and also a lot of the questions that you see in the exam papers are actually using everyday things. So these videos have a twofold effect. Well, number one, making them interested. Number two, getting them to know what are the concepts behind those questions. I have this one student who, whenever I put a video out, he always message me, and like recently I've been putting out poll videos, and whenever he gets the question right, he gets really happy. So that just shows, in a way, it's like indirect testing them, and they're actually getting confident with the material. So I think these videos have actually helped them understand the topics better that way. Using Instagram videos and TikTok videos, I think it is something that they do for de-stressing, and I've just managed to actually get all that content part of their de-stressing time. So in a way, they're able to revise yet also relax at the same time. So it's continual revision for them, and that helps me to produce the outcome of getting them to score better. All right, welcome everybody. So this is a Facebook Live after a very long time. I've been doing a lot of TikTok lives actually. So what we're going to do, just to give you guys, those who are here, what we're actually going to do is, for the next few sessions, at least for the month of April, on Tuesdays at 9:15, we will be doing a Facebook Live, and on Thursdays at 9:15, we'll be doing a TikTok Live. Yeah, so I'll be covering on physics and chemistry. So like for today, we're actually going to be running through on measurement, kinematics, and dynamics. Now, if you guys have any questions or any comments or anything that you all want to talk about, you want to share, I think it'd be good to just put it in the comments section. Again, do share this Facebook Live to your other friends, so that at the end of it, there's a Kahoot quiz where we can actually win a $10 popular voucher. And this popular voucher, you can use it in your what you call stationery run, or let's say you need to get something from Popular itself. So let's go into the main topic itself. Let me just play around with this. All right, now let's go through the physics. So measurement. So what I'm going to do is that in this Facebook Live, I'm actually going to give you guys an idea of how to solve the questions that you have related to measurement. So let's say we look at this. Vernier scale is used to measure the extension of wire. Here is before, and I'm guessing this is after. So how do we read? We will look at 0.5, this is 0.6. The 0 and 0.6 is more or less lined up. The 10 and 1.5 lines up. So that means it's 0.60 cm. Whereas for here is right after this point. So 0.5, 0.6, 0.7. Then I see where it lines up, and I realize it lines up at 3, so 0.73. So for those who are here, the three of you that are here, what you guys can do is this. What do you all think is the answer? Whatever you think the answer might be, just go ahead and put it in the value, or put it in the comment section. I just want to see what you guys mentioned. So what will happen is, if you take it, it's 0.73, and then you have 0.6. So very simply, if I want to get the value, I just take 0.73 minus 0.6, and the answer will be 0.13. So answer will be 0.13. So just take note. It's as simple as that. You just take this minus this, and it's as simple as that. Now, for here, a micrometer screw gauge. Now, if you look at a micrometer screw gauge, this is what you call a zero error. A zero error. Zero error just means this. When you close your micrometer screw gauge and the anvil and spindle is touching each other, what happens is this. There's a bit of a gap, meaning that your micrometer screw gauge is not exactly perfect. There's a bit of damage. So in this case, it'll be 0.3, 0.31. So I'll take 0 plus 0.31 mm. Take note, if you can see the 0 on your what you call micrometer screw gauge, it usually means it's positive. So isn't vernier caliper removed as there is digital? Again, I'm also talking about the Sec 4 students. For Mark Ari, I'm not so sure if you're doing the O level or the IGCSE. So usually vernier calipers, from what I see, is still being tested. So that's the thing. And usually there's a bit of a lag time lah. So it's good to understand how those concepts are. So just take note on that. For Ari maybe or Mark, maybe you can just tell me which syllabus you're on, so at least I can give you a better answer. And for here, so as I mentioned, this is your zero error. Here will be, for here, what will happen is you got 1 and 2.5, 2.50. Here's 151617, so 0.17. Okay, for Mark, your Sec 3 this year. So maybe Mark, you can just highlight, isn't removed from syllabus as the digital calipers. I would imagine they will still teach you on vernier calipers. Yeah. So even though there's digital calipers, so just take note. I think it's good to know how to actually read your vernier calipers if they do give questions. Because a lot of the tests, what happens is uh, things that have been taken out of syllabus, they still test. So that's a bit of the issue. So it's good to understand how the concept works. Yeah. Here your micrometer screw gauge. So here you got 2.5. Here's 151617. So it's 2.67 mm. Now take note that this 2.67, you minus your zero error. So corrected reading is always 2.67 minus 0.31. And what will happen is you get 2.36 mm. Normally for vernier caliper, it will be vernier caliper, it will be cm, micrometer screw gauge, it will be mm. So that's why your answer is 2.36 mm. All right, so just take note on that. Which of the physical quantity is paired wrongly with the unit? So what will happen is, if you look at each one of them, right? So pressure is actually force over area. If you look at force is mass times acceleration, area is meter square, mass is kg, acceleration is meter per second square over meter square. So if you cancel, you'll be kg m minus 1 s minus 2, which is correct. I would assume the answer for this, if I'm not wrong, okay, so Q equals the IT. Charge is actually Q. I is actually the unit is ampere and time is second. So it's ampere times second. But here is putting ampere per second. So answer is C. Just take note on that. Yeah. So just take note on this. Another vernier caliper reading. So again, for this, what will happen is, here what will happen is that you will just take the negative zero error. So I know that Mark mentioned that vernier calipers might be removed, but the problem is that some of the schools, they'll still teach you on vernier calipers. Simply because they just want you to have some basics. But at the O levels, you won't need to worry about it if that's the case. Now here, what will happen is, if you look at the zero, this zero is actually towards the left of the zero on the main scale. And because zero is on the left, I'll consider this the negative zero error. So you count 0, 1, 2, 0.02 cm. A lot of students, when it comes to a negative zero error, right, they don't realize that actually you're not supposed to count from 0, you're supposed to count from 10. So take note, a negative zero error, you don't count from 0, you actually count from 10. And what will happen is you take 0, 1, 2, so minus 0.02. Here, what will happen is the 0 is after 4, so it's 4.0, and you see where it's in line. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4.03 cm. So you take observed reading minus 0 error. 4.03 minus 0.02 is 4.05. So corrected reading is 4.05. Here is minus 0.02. Again, what I want you to understand from this portion very simply is this, that when you have a negative 0 error, you do not count from 0 itself, you actually count from 10. So just take note on that. Yeah. So thanks for Alex and Ajit Morajkar. Thanks for the like as always. Thank you very much. Okay, again, for those who are here, right, just take note there is a Kahoot quiz right at the end of it. There's a $10 popular voucher. So if you know anybody who can most probably answer the question or would benefit, just get them, just share it on your Facebook page. They'll get the notification. Now, for kinematics, how do you go about doing kinematics? So in this type of question, we use the ticker-tape timer to investigate the acceleration of a remote control car. Ticker-tape timer is set at a frequency of 50 hertz. Now, if your frequency is 50 hertz, what you want to do is you want to calculate your period. Period is 1 over f, so you take 1 over 50. Now, some of your schools will teach ticker-tape timer, some of your schools won't. But it is good to understand, because if let's say it comes out in the test, at least you're not caught with the pens down. At least you know what to do actually. So you take 1 divided by 50, so it'll be 0.02 seconds. 0.02 seconds. Now, when it comes to a ticker-tape timer question, right, what you want to do is you want to take average speed. Average speed, you take total distance over total time. So total distance is 20 over total time. Now, when you want to calculate the time taken, just take note that this first dot is always 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you take 6 times 0.02, 20 over 6 times 0.02 is 166.67. I round out 3 6 fig is 167 cm per second. So just take note on that, right? So what you want to do in this type of questions for ticker-tape timer, you want to take average speed, just means total distance over total time. And that's what you want to calculate, total distance over total time. And that's what we want to try doing, yeah? Then you calculate is total distance 20 cm, time is, your first dot is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just take note. Now, for this type of questions, these type of questions are actually quite popular, because I find that a lot of students have problems when it comes to such questions. They get very confused and they're not sure what to do. What you do is, very, very important, is to draw your velocity time graph. So if I were you guys, right, I'll draw my velocity time graph first. So the ball is going to be shot upwards at a speed of 20 meters per second. So 20, so you'll slow down till 0. This point will be when it reaches the highest point, and then you'll continue to fall. So just take note on that. Now, what's the height of the cliff for the ball to reach the bottom of the cliff 10 seconds after the shoot, which only means that the last part is 10 seconds. I'm telling you this is 20. Now, for this one, I want you guys to pay attention, because it's really, really important. What you have to do is taking upwards as positive. So you say taking upwards as positive. As positive. And what will happen is, taking upwards as positive, your acceleration equals to v minus u over t. So a equals to v minus u over t. What am I trying to get? I'm trying to get this time. I know the final velocity is 0. If I take upwards as positive, acceleration due to gravity is downwards. If acceleration due to gravity is downwards, acceleration is actually minus 10 meter per second square. Acceleration is 10 meter per second square. So I'll take minus 10, 0 minus 20 over t. T is 2 seconds. So just take note, 2 seconds. The next part you want to do is you want to find the final velocity. What is v? So I'll say a equals v minus u over t. Acceleration is minus 10. V minus 0 over 8 seconds. Minus 80 equals to v equals to minus 80. That means V is minus 80 meter per second. So just take note on that portion. In this type of questions, right, the cliff questions are very popular. I've noticed these questions coming up again and again. What you always want to do is you want to find out what is the time it reaches the highest point and what is the final velocity. So always just take note on that. Then what I'll do is, if I want to find the height of the cliff, I will just take, because I want to take this minus this. Because this one, let's say you call it B and call this A. So this part is B and this part is A. So what I'll do is I'll take half times 80 times 8 minus half times 20 times 2. Half times 8 is 4 times 80 is 320. Minus 20 is 300 meters. Right? So just take note of this part is 300 meters. Yeah. So you always want to find what's the distance traveled upwards and the distance traveled downwards. Then you just take the distance traveled downwards minus the distance traveled upwards. Right? For those who are here, right, any questions that you have related to measurement or kinematic, just feel free to ask, put it in the chat so I can actually answer those questions of yours. Yep. Anything that you all want to ask for those two who are here? If you have, just go ahead and put it in the chat. Yeah. An object undergoes a linear motion, which is represented by the graph below. What is the displacement of the object in the first 6 seconds? Now, in the first 6 seconds, what will happen is, if you want to find the displacement, right, you take this area under the graph as positive, and this also positive. So I will actually break this up as a trapezium. So let me just clean this up a little bit. So I'll just go and find out what is this, the positive displacement side. So it will be half bracket 2 plus 4, 2 plus 4 times 4, half times, here is 1 times 4, 1 times 4. So this is positive, just take note. Half times 4 is 2, bracket 6, plus half times 4 is 2, if I'm not wrong, yeah. 2 times 6 is 12, 12 plus 2 is 14 meters. So just take note, 14 meters. Now for your negative displacement, what I will do is negative displacement, I'll just take here times here. So half times 1 second times 4. So half times 1 times 4 is 2. So if I want to find the displacement, I just take positive minus the negative, and then you get 12 meters. So take note on that. A lot of people, they get very confused when it comes to this type of questions. So what you want to do is, this is considered your positive, this is considered your negative. So you take positive minus your negative. All right, so very important to note on this part. Now, for this portion, the following diagram shows how the displacement of a car changes over time. Which of the following statements is correct? If you look at it, it's a displacement time. What a lot of students tend to do is this: they will take it that it is velocity time, because when you all read the graph, right, naturally you all think that, oh, it's a velocity time graph. But actually, it's not. You must keep in mind that this is actually a displacement time graph. Your gradient, if you look at it, is negative, which means that is actually traveling in a negative velocity. So in a way, you can see that your velocity, so displacement just means that, okay, like here is decreasing, right? So what it just means, the object is going in the negative direction. And because it's going in the negative direction, and you look at the gradient, it is constant value. Therefore, it is traveling at constant velocity. And thus, the answer is delta. Okay, so just take note on this portion, yeah, constant velocity. Gradient of a displacement time graph tells you the velocity. A bicycle accelerates from a speed of 2 meter per second to 10 meter per second in 8 seconds. So in this type of case, right, what I will do is I'll draw my graph, time, second. Normally, when you want to find the displacement, I will always draw out the velocity against time. So just take note on that. So you start at 2 and it accelerates to 10 in 8 seconds. So this is 10. So I want to find the distance. Distance is half bracket 2 plus 10 times 8. So half times 8 is 4 plus times 12 is 48 meters. That is your total distance. But if you want to find the average speed, so you just take 48 divided by 8 is, let's see, 48 divided by 8 is 6 meter per second. Right? So just go ahead, keep that in mind. Always when you want to calculate your distance traveled, right? Whenever it comes to this type of questions, you always want to take the area under the graph, and the area under the graph tells you the displacement, if it's the velocity time. Okay, but if you want to find average speed, you take the displacement over time, you get your average speed. Now, if you look at this graph, again, when you see S, S does not actually represent speed. A lot of students, when they read S, they think it's speed, but S also can mean displacement. Now, the gradient here is very steep, which means high velocity. It decreases to 0, and then it becomes very negative. So it's high velocity, decreases to 0, and becomes very negative. So answer is then C. So what you want to keep in mind is the gradient. The gradient of a velocity time graph tells a gradient of a displacement time graph tells you the velocity. So just take note on that portion. Now, body X of mass m falls freely from a height of h. At the same time, another body Y of mass 3m falls freely from a height of 3h. Which of the following statements is true? Okay, when you read this type of questions, right, falls freely. Falls freely is actually telling you that the acceleration due to gravity is 10 meter per second square. So just take note on that. Acceleration is 10 meter per second square. Now, even though the masses are different, and here is falling from 3 times the height, this is falling from height, you need to understand that the distance between them remains constant. Distance between them remains constant simply because of the fact that when they are released, they will accelerate at the same rate. So basically what's happening is this. Okay, let's say I got 3h, I've got y, and I've got x, h. Once I release both of them, right, they are both exposed to gravity. And when they're exposed to gravity and there's no air resistance, they will actually fall together. And when they fall together, right, the distance between them will remain the same. So it remains constant. So just take note on that, yeah? Now, a speed time graph for a racing car is as shown. What's the average speed? So you notice the average speed, right? Very simple. Okay, can you guys, for those who are here, right, tell me what's the formula for average speed? Just put it in the comment section. I'll let you guys put the answer in the comment section. I'll let you guys tell me. Okay, some of you are typing and giving me. Okay, CK Young, Cohen. Well done, Cohen. Total distance or total time? Yes, very good. Mark, total distance or total time? Yes, very good. You all have been listening. So in this question, what I'll do is I'll just calculate the average speed. If I calculate the average speed, I just need to take the area under the graph. So this is 40 times 20. So I take half times 40 times 20 divided by 20. So time taken, and you get 20 meter per second. So answer is bravo. So remember, average speed is always total distance over total time. Simple as that, yeah? I think this is the same as this question. Yes. Now for dynamics. So the idea of dynamics, like we've done measurement. Measurement generally vernier calipers, micrometer, screw gauge, your pendulum. Kinematics, I would say that kinematics generally we are talking about your velocity time graph. You're talking about acceleration. You're talking about distance. For dynamics, you got your three laws basically. You got your Newton's first law, second law, and third law. Your second law and also friction. Normally we talk about friction here. Second law, just take note, is about resultant force equals to ma. So you just want to highlight this formula. Resultant force equals to ma, yeah? So a bottle cap can be removed by applying a force only on the cap of the bottle, causing it to spin off the bottle, leaving the bottle remain stationary. This is basically a classic question of inertia. So which statement best explains why it can be done? Very simply, if you look at a bottle, okay, if you look at a bottle, okay, not very good at drawing, and a cap. A cap, the mass is a lot smaller than the bottle itself. And because you have a bigger mass, you have a bigger inertia. So I'll say the bottle has a larger inertia than the cap. So that's why answer is C. This is the same reasoning if you think about it also when you go to NTUC, like whenever your mom asks you that, oh, can you go and get that plastic so you can put the fruits or vegetables? Then you realize that that roll of plastic, if you pull it very slowly, right? Okay, if you've never done this, you can always go to NTUC and try it out. So what will happen is you can pull it very slowly and you realize it never tears. But if you want it to be torn, right, what you need to do is you actually need to jerk it. You need to jerk it because that part of the plastic that you pulled out, the mass is very little compared to the roll. So when you jerk it, right, the plastic that is being torn off, the mass is a lot smaller than the mass of the roll. So that's why it gets torn off. Yeah. For this, vectors, the idea of vectors, very simply, you do is you normally consider forces that are in the same plane. So if I take 6 and 3, I got 4 newtons, and I got resultant force of 3 newtons. So if you do your, what do you call, tip to tail method, so for Cohen, this one you might not have learned, because I think is vectors. Vectors usually, yeah, I don't think vectors combine learns it. So 4 and 3 newtons, resultant force is here, and resultant force is 5 newtons. Okay, so just take note on this part that you got 4, 3, 4 and 3, you get the resultant force of 5 newtons. Yeah. An object P and Q are stacked on one on top of the other. The masses of the object are 2 and 3 kg. All the surfaces are frictionless. Now, what does frictionless mean to you? The idea of frictionless is just this. That means there is no grip. So if I pull the Q, your P will not move along, and therefore your acceleration is 0. You must take note that when you pull your Q, it just moves away, but the P does not have any grip. And because there's no grip, it just falls down. And they're asking about horizontal acceleration. Okay, so just take note on that. Okay, wow. So many questions for you guys to run through. So, okay, for here, an engine pulls the truck at a constant speed on a level track. The link between the engine and truck breaks. Now, you must understand that your engine, right, is the one that pulls the whole device, right? The engine pulls the whole system. If I break the link, your engine will carry, if it was traveling constant, right, now it will accelerate because there's lesser mass now and there's lesser friction. Because you must remember resultant force equals to ma. You got driving force minus force of friction and mass times acceleration. Now, if you break the link, the friction of the truck is no longer there. That means your resultant force goes up and your acceleration will increase. So actually the engine will speed up. Your truck has nothing pulling it forward, and because your truck has nothing pulling it forward, it will slow down. It won't stop immediately because you're traveling. So you'll slow down to a stop. So answer is bravo. Just take note B. Okay. For this type of questions, this is what you call a Newton's third law type of question. So I usually consider the whole system first. So I got a constant force of 12 newtons. You have them at equal masses. Okay. They ask you what's the force acting on A by B. So basically, what I will do, right, is I will first try to calculate the acceleration. In this type of questions, what you always want to do is calculate the acceleration. So resultant force equals to ma, 12 equals to You got 2m, right? So I put 2m times A. So A is 6 over m. Now I'll look at block A. Block A has 12 newtons and force of B on A. Now take note, the force acting on B by A is the same as the force acting on A by B. So I just try to calculate this. Since you're going towards the right, I'll take resultant force equals to MA. So I'll take 12 minus force of BA equals to M times 6 over M. So you got 6, 12 minus force of BA, and force of BA is 6 newtons. So it'll be 6 newtons. But keep in mind, they're asking what's the force acting on A by B. So it'll be towards the left. So actually, yeah, this is what you're calculating. Force of B on A. So that's why it's towards the left. So then your answer is alpha. Take note, alpha. Now, for this is another vectors question. If you look at it, the object is not moving. So this is what you call an equilibrium scenario. So I've got your force in the wire. I've got the weight, which is 20. Tension in the wire is 40 newtons. Tension in the wire, force exerted by pole, blah, blah. Okay. So what I'll do is, if you want to know the equilibrium force, right, because it is not moving. If it's not moving, then what you do is, you got 40 newtons, 20 newtons like that, and this should be your F. F should be like that. So anything that mimics that will be your answer. So it's bravo. So tail to tip, tail to tip, tail to tip. And that's how you solve this type of questions. So this is what I call the vector type of questions, yeah? For this, keep in mind that what I'll do is I'll consider when X is like that. So your resultant force should be here. So I would definitely not go with C because C will be the answer like this. But because your X is in this direction, right, highly likely that it's going to be bravo. Actually, even if you draw, like let's say I draw, right? If I draw it this way, you'll notice the answer is B. So this is again a vector question. Okay, a car is traveling at a constant speed along a road and it drives over a large patch of oil. What does the large patch of oil mean? So a large patch of oil means that there is no friction. The driver applies the brakes to stop the car. Compared to braking on a dry road, what may happen? Now you must understand that if you are going on a large patch of oil, there's very little friction. There's hardly any friction. So the car takes longer to slow down. Longer to slow down. I wouldn't think you'll speed up and it wouldn't slow down more quickly. Longer to slow down because of the fact that there's reduced friction. When there's oil, there's less friction between your tires and your road. And therefore, what will happen is that you'll take a longer time to slow down. This question, a man pushes a heavy box along a rough floor. A force acts on the man's hand while another force acts on the man's feet. So force on man's hand, so he's exerting a force here, the block is exerting a force towards the left. Now you must remember that he is trying to go forward, so his feet needs to push backwards. Therefore, the force on his feet is towards the right. So towards the right, this will be towards the right, this will be towards the left. So take the answer to be B. Always remember that friction always goes against the movement. If you look at this question, they say the beam moves downwards at a constant speed. Constant speed tells you what? The acceleration is actually 0 meter per second square. If acceleration is 0 meter per second square, right, that means if I'm going downwards, acceleration is 0 meter per second square. Always remember where it's moving, that's the dominant force. So I'll take resultant force equals to MA W minus TP TQ TR equals to M times 0. Now they ask you what's the tension in Q and they tell you that the mass is 200 kg, which means the weight is 2000, TP is 100, TR is 100, and TQ is what we're trying to get. So TQ is basically 1800 newtons. So answer is C. Right? So just take note on that. And that brings us to the end of the questions. So I want you guys, for those who are here, right? There's going to be a Kahoot quiz. But what I want you guys to do is this: put whatever questions you have related to what you call your measurement, your kinematics, your dynamics. If you have any questions that is a burning question and you've been wondering why is it that um, I can't answer the question, this is the time to go ahead and ask me the question. Yeah, so just go ahead and ask me whatever your questions are related to measurement, kinematics, and dynamics, and I shall put back the screen that you guys are looking for. So this is the Kahoot quiz. I need you guys to share, get as many people to join in as possible. If you guys could you please upload the slides? Sadly, I can't because it's a bit difficult to upload on Facebook. Maybe for Mark, if you can WhatsApp me. It's my number is here 96451497. I can WhatsApp you the slides. Okay, for Mark, just take note. So I'm just gonna let you guys sign in. I'll give about 5 minutes. Now it's 9:50. At 9:55 we will begin. If you all have any issues, put it in the comment section. Okay, I think I will start now. So let's just begin it. Let's go for the first question. And first question for the Facebook Live measurement kinematics and dynamics is, and for the first question, we will be running on if a length is found to be 2.49 cm, which instrument is appropriate? Which instrument is appropriate for 2.49 cm? So just take note on the maximum ranges for the different equipments. Let's see what you guys write the answer. All right, and I think most of you, some of you wrote was vernier caliper. Vernier caliper, just take note that because it's 2.49, right? 2.5 cm means that that's the maximum that a micrometer screw gauge can measure, 2.5. So if you ask me the most appropriate or the most accurate, I will actually go with a micrometer screw gauge. So just take note on that. So these are things you all need to take note. So 2.5 cm is the maximum range of a micrometer screw gauge. And among these four, the most accurate will be a micrometer screw gauge. All right, let's go for the next one. What's the length shown in the picture below? So what do you all think? And if you look at this part, keep in mind what's the length shown, right? So a lot of students, they have issues here. They will count this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's wrong. This is 1, this 2, this 3. These are your integers. These are your 0.5. 3.5 plus 0.35 is 3.85. So that's why the answer is the red one. Let's see who has got. There's Mark and Yongsin. Cohen, come on, man. Can acceleration be found by the gradient of the graph? Is it true or false? What do you all think? So if you look at it, it should be true. Must keep in mind that the gradient of a graph for velocity time is your acceleration, and the area under the graph is your displacement. So take note on that. All right. Question 4. Double points. What acceleration is shown in the picture below? What do you all think? So is it decreasing acceleration, decreasing deceleration, increasing deceleration, or increasing acceleration? Let you all think about it. So keep in mind that it should be decreasing acceleration, because why? If you look at the gradient is positive and it is dropping, so it's getting lesser and lesser. Therefore, I'll say decreasing acceleration. All right, Yoxin, well done, Yoxin. Next is the last question. So at a constant velocity of 5, the driving force is 5 newtons, mass of the object is 3. What's the frictional force? So I mentioned this just now. Okay, and the frictional force will be 2 newtons. Sorry, not. It'll be 5 newtons. Why? Because if you're traveling at a constant velocity of 5 meter per second, acceleration is 0. So resultant force is 0. And if your driving force is 5, your frictional force will be 5. All right. So third place goes to Cohen. Well done, Cohen. Second place goes to Yong Sin. And I think everybody knows who's going to be the first place. It's Mr. Mark, I think. So, you have won a $10 popular voucher. So just remember to WhatsApp me. Send me a WhatsApp on this number that I put in the chat. It's 96451497. I'll mail you the $10 popular voucher and I'll send you the slides too. So you guys do take care. And if there are any questions that you guys have that you all want to clarify or you have problems with in your other topics, or maybe things that you want to, because we'll be doing chemical bonding next week, or actually we're doing the first 3 chapters. So if I'm not wrong, we should be doing experimental techniques, atomic structure, and kinetic particle theory on next Tuesday, same time and same day, Tuesday at 9:15. So if you all have any questions or what, you can put it in the comment section. If you're watching this on the what you call the repost, do put in your questions that you have related to measurement, kinematics, and dynamics. I'll try to help you guys. Again, thank you guys for joining us. We will be having another session next week on chemistry. We'll be running through the first three chapters, which should be kinetic particle theory, separation techniques, and atomic structure. So take care and have a great night ahead.